Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm here with the second lesson for the Arabic grammar. And yesterday we learned that there are three kinds of words in Arabic, which are ism, fail, and harf. And then we started doing ism, and in ism we said that there are actually four properties of ism, which includes status, gender, number, and type. And from all those four properties we started doing status. Now when we are doing status, which is the longest of the four, we have to learn about four things. The first is the form of the status. Second is how to tell status. Third is it light or heavy? And the fourth is flexibility. So we're going to learn all four things about status one by one. Yesterday we did the form of the status, in which we learned that the first is the rafa, which means the doer of the fi'l. The second is the nasb, which is the detail of the fi'l. And then third one was jar, which was the word that comes after of. So we're done with the form of status. Today we are going to learn how to tell status. So like, how can we tell that a word is rafa, nasab, or jar? Like a word which is an ism, is it rafa, nasab, or jar? So we're gonna find that out, how we can tell, because on the basis of rafa, on basis of that, we'll be able to tell, like, is that word the doer of the fi'l, or is it a detail of the fi'l, or is it something that comes after of, meaning belonging to someone. So how to tell status? So the first thing is by ending sounds, and the second thing is by ending combinations. So we're going to learn what that means now. So what do you mean by ending sounds? Now, when you listen to a word in Arabic, you have to see what kind of sound it's making. So is it un or u? So if the sound is un or u, that means it's rafa and it's singular. We're going to talk about more in there. Don't get confused. We're going to talk about this in detail. So if the sound is un or u, like muslimun, so that is going to be rafa. Then if the sound is an or a, then that means that this word is nasb, and it's also singular. And unlike musliman, so that kind of word, that is going to be a nasb, and it's going to be singular. The third kind of sound is in or e, and if you get this kind of sound like muslimin, then that means that that word is jar and it's singular. So we see that there are three kinds of words: un or u, that will be rafa; an or a, that will be nasb; and in or e, that will be jar. Now let's see an example. Muslimun, we hear the un sound, that means it's rafa. Musliman, we hear the an sound, that means it's nasb. Muslimin, we hear the in sound, that means it's jar. So one way of telling the status is by ending sounds: un, an, and in. Un or u being rafa, an or a being nasb, and in and e being jar. Now let's see that what do we mean by combinations. And also to remember that with these sounds, rafa, nasb, and jar are singular. Okay, now let's move on to how to tell status ending combinations. Now I think I can miss a page. Oh, I did miss a page. Okay, so ending combinations, there are a few things that we need to remember. In Arabic, we have singular, dual or pair, and plural. So when we're talking about English, we have singular and we have plural, right? But in Arabic, we have singular, then a pair or dual, and then plural. So there are three forms in Arabic. Ending sounds un, an, in are for singular, rafa, nasab, and jar. So if you hear the ending sounds un, an, or in, these are for singular, rafa, nasab, and jar. Ending combinations, on the other hand, are for dual and also for plural. And so we're going to see that which ending combinations are for dual and which ones are for plural. So let's find out. So ending combination for dual or two. So which combinations are there, which when we hear, we'll know that it's a dual. We're talking about two. The first one is ani. Ani, muslimani, right? Ani, if you hear the sound, that means it's two rafa. And to make things easier, the nasb and jar sounds are the same. Combinations are the same. Aini, like muslimaini, that means two nasb. And then again aini, like muslimaini, that means two jar. So if you hear a combination that is ani like Muslimani, then that means it's to rafa. If you hear a combination in the end of the word Muslimaini like aini like Muslimaini, then that means it's to nasb. And then if you hear a combination aini, then that is to jar. And we'll differentiate how we can tell whether it's nasb or jar in the future lectures. So let's see the example. I've already given that example, that for example, if you heard a sound Muslimani, then if you hear the sound ani, that means it's to rafa. If you hear the sound aini Muslimaini, then it means to nasb. And again, if you hear the sound aini like Muslimaini, then it means to jar. So the combinations for dual are ani, aini, aini. So let's see now what are the combinations for plural. So the ending combinations for plural are una like Muslimuna, that is 3 or more rafa. Okay, and then if you hear the sound ina at the end of a word, then that means it's 3 or more nasb. And again, to make things easier, ina again, if you hear the sound ina, then it means that it's 3 or more jar. And looking at the examples, Muslimuna, una sound is heard, so that means it's 3 or more rafa. Then there is Muslimina, ina sound is heard, that it means that it's 3 or more nasb. And again, Muslimina, ina sound is heard, that means it's 3 or more jar. Let me see if I wrote something. No. Okay, so just reviewing what we learned today. We said we were talking about ism, and in ism we were talking about status, and we learned about the form of the status, that is rafa, nasb, and jar. Rafa being the doer of the act, nasb being the detail of the act, and jar being the word that comes after of. The second thing that we need to learn today, is how to tell status. And how can we tell status? We can tell it by ending sounds or ending combinations. And one thing to remember is that whenever you listen to a word, you always listen to the combinations first and then the sounds. And we'll practice with a lot of examples in my future videos. So first of all, coming to the ending sounds, if you hear the sound un or u, that means it's rafa and it's singular. If you hear the sound an or a, it means it's nasb and it's singular. If you hear the sound in or e, that means it's jar and it's singular. Muslimun being rafa, Musliman being nasb, and Muslimin being jar, and all three are singular. Then we said that in Arabic we have singular, dual, and plural. And then, if there is ending sounds, basically the sounds are for singular. So if you hear sounds, that means it's singular, un and in for rafa, nasab, and jar respectively. And ending combinations are for dual and plural. And we saw that the ending combinations for dual are ani, aini, aini. And ani is to rafa, aini is to nasab, and aini is to jar. Muslimani to rafa, Muslimaini to nasab, and Muslimaini to jar. And then we said that ending combinations for plural are una, una like Muslimuna, it's 3 or more rafa, ina, 3 or more nasb, ina, 3 or more jar. Examples, Muslimuna, una sound is heard, 3 or more rafa, Muslimina, ina sound is heard, 3 or more nasab, and Muslimina again, ina sound heard, 3 or more jar. So this is about the sounds and the combinations. Inshallah, in the video that I'm going to post on Monday, I am going to be posting the Muslim chart, and we are all going to memorize it by heart, because that is something that we really, really need to memorize. On Monday, I'll be posting the masculine chart, the Muslim chart, which we are going to memorize, inshallah. And on Tuesday, inshallah, I'll be posting the feminine chart. And I'll also post a picture of that chart on my Instagram, so that anyone who is interested can, take a screenshot or whatever and, memorize it. It's very useful. We have to memorize it, because without that, we won't be able to move further. So be ready for memorizing that chart. It's very, very easy. Inshallah, we'll memorize it together. That's all for today. Fi amanillah.